I don't touch females. That's basically it. That's how I'm going to start this video. Today we're going to be reacting to Eric Edholm's 2026 NFL Mock Draft 2.0 Dolphins replace Jalen Waddle, Chiefs nab hot prospect by Eric Edholm. Let's get to it. Let's not waste too much time. The Raiders take Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. Easiest pick for me. I've said this a million times. It's the easiest pick. Let's not waste too much time on this. I don't want to waste all of your guys' time because we all know why this is happening. Fernando Mendoza had one of the best quarterback seasons we've seen. He's not the best prospect ever coming first overall with an undefeated season. I'll give that to Joe Burrow, but at the same time, right, you gotta admit, like he did something pretty good. So let's go with Fernando Mendoza here. I don't hate that pick at all. It's probably the most surefire pick in the draft, and with the draft full of a bunch of surprises, I would be very surprised, like really surprised. I'd be jaw dropped if Mendoza doesn't go here. But regardless, he's gonna go here, so it doesn't really matter. So we're gonna go Mendoza here. Jets take Arvell Reese out of Ohio State University. I like this pick a lot for them. I think Arvell Reese is a great pick. Edholm has these. I gotta see if that's his, like Edholm. Yeah, I've said it right. Why am I dying myself? Don't doubt yourself, guys. For Reese, it makes a lot of sense because this team really needs an edge rusher. They freed up a lot of money, freed up a lot of cap space. They didn't sign a #1 edge rusher in free agency with a pretty decently sized edge rusher class in Boye Mafe. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson. Max Crosby was available. I know they weren't going to go out and trade for him, but he was available. And some of these other smaller guys too. So there was a lot of areas, and they didn't really address that well in the free agency class. It was strategic. It wasn't that well. It wasn't because they forgot to. It's literally just because they were gonna get Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain, or David Bailey. Like that's the whole point. And it's a real strategic move. And the thing with Arvell Reese, right? Again, he fits this Aaron Glenn scheme so well. He fits this 3-4 style defense, which really would end up using Arvell Reese. And people will say he's a very raw prospect. I 100% agree. But again, it fits the scheme better. And I think the NFL matters a lot schematically. So taking Arvell Reese here is a really good option because again, scheme. Arvell Reese played primarily 51% of his snaps off ball or on ball, whatever. 49 and 51 on ball and off ball. That is a big decider because if you do David Bailey, there's less versatility, there's less upside, right? You already know what you're gonna get from David Bailey. Arvell Reese is a junior, so he's a year and 2 years because I think David Bailey is a redshirt senior. He's already a year younger, which isn't even like the main selling point, but that's one area. He's also fits the scheme better. I've said this a million times right now, but if it's literally fits the scheme better, like what else can you ask for? He played 51% of his snaps on edge rusher. Aaron Glenn can use him in different ways. He can use him in either a drop back coverage, use him as a disguise, or you don't really know what's happening next. You can use him as a disguise, or you can use him as a full-on edge rusher. And after getting rid of Jermaine Johnson, it's 100% a edge rusher going here. And because edge rusher is a premier position, I don't think they're going to take a wide receiver number 2. I don't think there's any wide receiver other than Jeremiah Smith in college football right now that's worth number 2. So we're going to take Arvell Reese here. I actually adore this pick a lot because I think this makes the most sense to me. He has the most upside for me. It really does. I have a really sound prospect. There's some issues there. There is a lot of issues. There's a lot of translatability issues to the NFL, which is a big problem. But Arvell Reese can eventually become a super stud, which I think under Aaron Glenn, people underestimate how good Aaron Glenn was. People are saying, "Oh, he's already in the hot seat, brother." It's been a year. Like, come on, bro. Like, seriously. Like, let's relax a little bit. He's a good coach, and I think people are starting to undermine that a little bit. So I think taking Arvell Reese is a really solid pick and a really solid prospect. People just really like to undermine Aaron Glenn's system, and also Arvell Reese as a prospect. I don't understand that. The Cardinals take David Bailey. I don't know how sure I feel about this. Yes, David Bailey has some good rush off the speed to the quarterback. Yes, that's a big part in some of these teams' availability, and teams really value that. That being said, I think I prefer Maui. And the only reason is because tackle works better. But again, David Bailey is not a bad pick because again, it's a premium position. Literally, it's a premium position. So it's going to be a lot of these positions that really get a lot of juice and a lot of, I don't know, just a lot of like highly praises, right? You're obviously not going to take Sonny Styles here. I don't think this team needs a lot more. They need to build up the trenches more, and the trenches is the most important thing in football. You've seen different coaches bring that up. You've seen most recently, I can remember, is John Harbaugh bringing up his press conference. He wants a physical football team. Most coaches want that. If you really want that, you're gonna have to go and draft it because you don't really see a bunch of edge rushers like that hit free agency a lot. And I know Max Crosby and people are available, but like at the same time, right? Like you sometimes draft all this good talent and that's a big part. It's a really big part, and I think David Bailey can eventually become a 3-down lineman. I'm not fully trusting the bend. I'm not fully trusting the speed off the edge is elite. I'm not fully trusting the the power too. Like there's a lot of moving issues with this with him as a prospect. There's also off the field issues which haven't been really concerned as of lately, but there was in the past. So that's a big issue to point out. But again, this team might need it, and I don't think Josh Sweat has requested a trade yet. I don't think it's official, and I think it was might have been a false narrative. I don't know. I haven't seen it until like one of those big news guys report it. So that's another moving part. So I'm gonna go David Bailey here. It's not a terrible idea. I think I just prefer Maino a little bit. Titans take Jeremiah Love. I think Jeremiah Love honestly is you don't see these type of running backs hit the open market this easily unless they're frequently injured or teams just sell. And you've seen that with Christian McCaffrey where sometimes teams just sell and they want to get rid of him. Same with Saquon Barkley. They're like, okay, we just can't offer you the contract. We'll let you test the market. And he ends up going to another team. Jeremiah Love is also really good. Jeremiah Love has different areas as a prospect as I thought from these other running backs, right? Saquon Barkley was obviously a generational running back. I think he was. He still technically is. I mean, he just did. He had a crazy season the last couple years. But taking Jeremiah Love here is not a bad idea. He isn't like Ashton Genty. He isn't like Bijan Robinson. He isn't like Saquon Barkley. He isn't like Ezekiel Elliott. He has real one-step ability. His whole frame and his whole impact is really good. He can take it to the house if you need him to. Has tremendous footwork. People undermine that. He has crazy good footwork. He knows where to go. He knows how to run. He knows the different areas not to get tangled in different areas of the run. It's a real sound prospect, and that really makes me confident in his ability to eventually translate to the NFL level because, again, he has these tools that some of these elite running backs have. Saquon Barkley had amazing footwork. He also had a bunch of one-cut, speed-up, home run threat ability. Jeremiah Love is like that, where he can take it up. He also has a good amount of pass catching ability as well. There's a lot of good footwork. There's a lot of good fundamentals in Jeremiah Love, which makes it so good. And his speed is killer. I think I love it. I really do. I think he can really just elevate this offense even more and be a 1-2 punch with Tony Pollard. And even with this room, I'm not going to invest so much in Tony Pollard or Ty J. Spears. That's the thing. And you kind of afford a luxury pick. Brian Daboll might want a new weapon. So take Jeremiah Love, who he used Saquon Barkley really well in that one playoff run he had when he had that great season in New York where he won the offensive coach of the year, or not offensive coach of the year, but just won the coach of the year. He had an elite running back, and Jeremiah Love can be that elite running back for him. So I think this can be a real awesome pick for this team. Giants take Sonny Styles. Again, this is another great pick too. Sonny Styles has a bunch of in-between tackle ability, which really makes him a solid prospect. I think that making him a linebacker for this team is a really good option for this team because, again, I know John Harbaugh loves his linebackers. He's used many different linebackers in his past, most notably Roquan Smith the last couple of years. That's a big contrast to this team, which I know they did sign Tremaine Edmonds. I know they did sign Micah McFadden. Micah McFadden can be a rotational guy next to Sonny Styles, and Tremaine Edmonds can teach Sonny Styles of these linebacker prospects. I know it's not a crazy high position regarding the high-end NFL organizations, but at the same time, right, if a guy's so damn good, you might take him really high, and especially in a weaker draft class than usual, which is a real issue. So if you take Sonny Styles here, that's a good pick. It really is, because this, I think, in my opinion, I think Sonny Styles is an awesome prospect. He's a real crisp prospect. He doesn't mess up. He learns from his mistakes, and he learns as he goes on, even if he doesn't make mistakes. And that's a real big part. And he also has the upside of being a pass coverage guy with his safety background. That's a real big gear to the cog as well. So or cog to the machine as well, because he isn't just a sound run stopper and that's it. He also has safety background. He also has just freakishly athletic abilities. It's just an overall good pick. That's why it's taking this high, and that makes the most sense to me as a Giants fan. Taking Sonny Styles here is a surefire pick. You can definitely say you can go Carl Tate. I wouldn't hate that pick at all either. I have Carl Tate as a wide receiver 1. I just think Sonny Styles fits schematically, and if he wants to play hard-nosed football, I think Sonny Styles would be more hard-nosed than Carl Tate, obviously, because he's a linebacker, not a wide receiver. No diss to Carl Tate's character or anything, or saying he's soft. I'm literally just saying Sonny Styles is a linebacker. It's going to probably be more linebacker-focused and more John Harbaugh-esque area. So I like this fit a lot for that. The Browns go Francis Maianoa, offensive tackle out of Miami, Florida. That's another interesting pick, too. I think if Maianoa is available, I think they should go him here. The problem is Maianoa plays in a right right tackle and they need left tackle, Tyus Howard can maybe slot into that left tackle position. So there's a lot of moving parts here. You might have to reach on Marlon Freeling if you want him to play left tackle. Marlon Freeling is also a very raw prospect. Mainoa isn't. Mainoa has so much pure strength to him, which really makes him one of the best tackle, if not the best tackle prospects, even offensive line prospects in this draft, which is an interesting area to talk about because Mainoa, he can get past you. He can get to the second level quickly enough. Like, honestly, at one point you have to be like, okay, yeah, like the strength speaks volumes, and I think Maui Noah can speak volumes in the strength department because this makes so much sense for me. Because again, you just need an offensive tackle, so it's literally offensive tackle wide receiver in the first round. You have 2 first round picks. Travis Hunter trade was a good pick. I actually liked it. I actually liked that trade when it happened on draft day. I know people weren't so intrigued or so delighted, but I actually really like that trade. I think taking Francis Mainoa here is not a bad idea for this team. It's a step in the right direction for a team that really needs an offensive tackle. And again, you're building up that line for that eventual quarterback, whether it be Shador, Gabriel, or insert X quarterback in the 2027 draft, right? A lot of moving in parts, maybe even Ty Simpson if you're getting lucky. But Francis Mainoa, solid prospect. The strength is off the marks. I like it. Carl Tate goes to the Commanders. Interesting area because, yeah, there is no real wide receivers. It's Terry McLaurin and then Deebo Samuel's free agency. Some of these other guys have gone or not been there. I think the second best receiver that is still on the roster, that's still under contract on this team, is Luke McCaffrey. That's a real issue. It really is. And I think Carl Tate can be a good contrast to Terry McLaurin. People have concern with Carl Tate being a real player, or like a real wide receiver one in a scheme. That's for you to decide. I think that regardless wherever he goes, he's going to produce because he's also produced next to a generational prospect in Jeremiah Smith, and even before Jeremiah Smith, well, technically, but Jeremiah Smith's freshman season with Egbuka, he still produced a good amount. He wasn't having that many areas. He was still like in the pool and the sharks with the water with all these other top Ohio State prospects, but he still had some good areas. And I remember seeing Carl Tate in Jeremiah Smith's freshman year in 2025, the year where or 2024-2025 season where Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, all those guys came out. I actually had a pretty solid feeling that this guy might be really good. And I'm not gonna say, oh, he said, she said, whatever. There's no proof for that. You just gotta take my word for it. But I like Carl Tate. I really do. And I think Carl Tate can, again, provide some good upside for you. It's mainly just contractual. You haven't really signed a wide receiver. Who else wide receivers left on the board? It's Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk is a possible reunion. Tyreek Hill. Who else? I mean, there really isn't much wide receivers left. It's just a bunch of these old guys left. These old, pretty good guys that were good once and that are not. The better days are behind them. Stephon Diggs, those type of guys are like a little behind them, right? So Carl Tate isn't a bad pick here. Maybe safety's in play, maybe edge rushers in play, but they also signed Chase on and maybe linebacker too. But they also signed some linebackers in free agency. So I think you should probably start building towards a secondary or even a wide receiver isn't a bad pick here. Saints take Ruben Bain Jr. I think this is perfect. Cameron Jordan saying free agency. Cameron Jordan feels like a Ruben Bain-esque player where, again, it's just like a solid 3-down lineman who's pretty good at the run. I think Ruben Bain could be the next, like, carry the torch for this team. And again, with some of these guys, none of these guys have been hit. Davenport, Bassi, all these guys, insert name here, have not been the wrecker you've hoped them to be. Ruben Bain can maybe change that. The production's damn good. I know people are concerned about his alligator arms. I wouldn't really be concerned about that if the production is damn good. And I think he's fucking good. And I really think he's fucking good. So why don't you take Ruben Bain here? Get yourself a 3-down lineman-esque player. The most 3-down lineman ready person I see going in the top 10, which is Ruben Bain. Our race maybe. David Bailey, I'm not very sure. Ruben Bain, I'm 100% sure he's going to be a solid 3-down lineman, regardless of the arm length, regardless of anything else what you say. It makes the most sense to me. So I like it a lot for this team. But yeah, it just makes the most sense with how many contractually, just in general, because you just you never really had that edge presence without Cam Jordan, and now that he's hitting free agency and wants to get paid or wants to go somewhere else, or you're not paying him regardless, he's not coming back. It makes the most sense for Ruben to come here, so it just makes a lot of sense here. And Chiefs take Mansour. This is another pretty good pick for me too. I think this makes a lot of sense for this team schematically and also just, again, contractually and roster wise. Mansour has the Trent McDuffie-esque build where he's smaller. He isn't the best. Frame-wise. He's not the biggest. He doesn't have the longest arms. But there is a lot of upside with his technique. He allowed 50 catches at LSU. It was really solid. This is really solid pick. Regardless, I think this makes the best sense for Spagnuolo and his schematic defense. It really does, and I think this team could really use a Mansour Delane-esque player, especially with how many guys have lost: Trent McDuffie, and Jalen Watson. Makes the most sense for me. The Bengals take Caleb Downs, Ohio State safety. I think this makes the most sense for me too. I think it's not a pick I've really disagreed with yet. Maybe beside the David Bailey pick, but other than that, it hasn't really been that bad. But we're gonna take Caleb Downs here. It's not a bad idea. I think Caleb Downs-esque pick is not bad because you get a center fielder, you get a guy who is very versatile, who doesn't miss tackles, who's a leader in that locker room, and Caleb Downs can elevate a defense. He's produced at Bama. He's produced at Ohio State. Two elite programs, really two elite programs. And at one point, I realized, okay, maybe he doesn't have the highest upside in this draft class, but at the same time, he's already has such a high floor that you're like, okay, maybe you don't take the risk, and you need tackling regardless. So what's the point of kind of prolonging it? I don't know. I think safety is a big need too. Losing some of these guys in the secondary. I know Cam Taylor-Britt isn't a safety, but at the same time, right, you're going to lose some of these corners. I think Mansour Delane is 100% in play, but he doesn't fall here. You're not going to take I don't think you take a risk on Jamal McCoy. I know people have say that, and I think Jamal McCoy is a solid prospect. You just don't know what you're getting from him. Caleb Downs, you know what you're getting from him, and you know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get leadership. You're gonna get tackling. You're gonna get hard-nosed football. You're gonna get a fucking dog, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point you want from this team. This team isn't in a win-now position, to be honest, because obviously their young core and those three guys, Burrow, Chase, and Higgins on the offensive side, it's not bad. I know they did lose Trey Hendrickson, so you might want a replacement later down in the draft, or just maybe another year when the edge class is a little better. So taking Downs here is not a bad idea. You keep on bolstering up this team. Maybe enough blue chips talents add up, and eventually you will reach a point where you're competitive again. I don't hate this pick at all. The Dolphins take Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver, out of USC. There's a lot of moving parts to this too. I think Mekhi Lemon is kind of eerily similar to Jalen Waddle in the way where you can play him anywhere. He's a smaller type receiver. He's more of a speed gadget guy. It makes a lot of sense for this team. You can maybe use him as a Jalen Waddle-esque role. It makes a lot of sense. I think Jordan Tyson might fit this team a little better because, again, he's bigger, but the injury concerns can stop him. The thing with Mekhi Lemon and Jordan Tyson is that they're both not very explosive. They don't have top-end speed. I think their speed is above average, but I don't think it's top-end. Mekhi Lemon lacks a little bit of explosiveness, and his size really hinders him, versus Jordan Tyson, who has the injuries, which is a big problem. So it's just regardless of what you think you value more, which is either the availability but a little less of explosiveness, versus Jordan Tyson, who has so much explosiveness, so good at the catch point. Mekhi Lemon is also really good at the catch point in his own regard, but Jordan Tyson, bigger frame, better frame, but a little less reliability on injuries, which might change the NFL, but I'm not really gonna say it will. That's the thing. Like it's a literally a gigantic question mark right now. So it just depends what you want. In this case, the Dolphins go with Mekhi Lemon. I don't hate this pick. You can definitely go a corner here if Mansour is available, but he's not. So I think wide receiver is the best available. I wouldn't like taking a risk on Jamal McCoy, or maybe Dylan Thielen doesn't hurt either, especially with Minka Fitzpatrick on. But again, Mekhi Lemon is not a bad pick. I don't hate this pick. The Cowboys go Jamal McCoy. I like this too. Mostly, I think Jamal McCoy. You've seen it. You've seen players who sit out or get injured get picked highly. Derek Stingley had bad seasons where he got injured, and then he also just had poor performances, got picked top 3. You've seen it. You've seen, especially in the corner area, you've seen it, right? Corner is such a big need. It's a premium position in football. Taking Jamal McCoy is not a bad thing at all. It's just the problem is, do you think he will come back from an ACL? I'm a big believer of this. ACL injuries are not what they were 20 years ago. It's just not what they are. They're more, especially for young athletes. They don't come back maybe as, like, the body won't be as good, but they come back regardless. Maybe the production's a little less, maybe it's a little harder for them. Some of these guys have mentals of steel, and not saying all of these guys do, but some of these have mentals of steel. And Jamal McCoy is not a bad pick for this team because they need a cornerback one, and maybe he comes back from the ACL injury and he's a top 5 corner in this draft class, or a top 3 corner in the best, or even the best corner in the draft class, and a top 15 corner in the NFL. You don't know, or he can be a fucking bust, and he maybe loses all of his speed and explosiveness. He loses his football game sensibility because he hasn't played in over a year, and he is a bust. There's so much like variation for him, and that's going to be a real interesting area to see how he falls because of this. People have him falling. People have him going as high as like 10 or 10 or even 5 sometimes. People have him going to the Giants. It's really interesting. It's really interesting to see how these analysts and internet people mock draft him. I think I have him more towards the end of the 20s. I think if the Dallas Cowboys somehow find a way to snag him at 20, that's a perfect pick. But I think 12 might be a little too high with his concerning injury area. The Rams take Spencer Fano. With some of the arm measurements, there can be a little concern there, but I don't hate this pick at all. He said that the Rams haven't taken a tackle in the past round 5 in the last couple of years. That's really hard to believe. I'm not saying it's wrong, but that's really hard to believe. But yeah, that's crazy. But I think Spencer Fano can develop into a tackle, which they need to. People have him as a tackle before even the arm length or after the arm length too. So there's a lot of moving parts, but this team might need an offensive tackle. I also like another weapon for this team. If you can maximize Jordan Tyson, Kenyon Sadiq. Even Omar Cooper Jr. might be a dark horse pick if the Rams really like him. That can be a real dark horse pick. But if you go Spencer Fano, not a bad idea. It really isn't. I mean, anything can happen. They can definitely go Spencer Fano. I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. The Ravens take Vega Ione. With Spencer Fano off the board, this makes the most sense for me. Vega Ione is a very high floor player. He's strong. He sets the tone physically. He has a great lateral movements. He's just a strong fella. He really is. And honestly, instead of like beefing up the wide receiver core, I think interior offensive lineman is a little bit more of a need. It's not the flashy pick. I know you maybe want the flashy pick, but at the same time, right, you have Vega here. I think it just makes the most sense for me to go in this area. So I like this pick a lot. The Bucks take Akeem Massador. I don't hate this pick at all either. It's just the age, and but schematically it fits because again, Akeem can get to the quarterback. And it also makes sense in the long run too, because Akeem will also provide instant production as opposed to someone like TJ Parker or Keldrick Folk or even Cassius Howell, who can get to the quarterback but has historically short arms, so you don't see anybody with those arms even get considered in the first round. So that's a really interesting area. I think Akeem can provide that instant production regardless, and he had a really good pick. And there's also people concerning about his medical history. I wouldn't really be that concerned about his medical history. He was getting hurt when he was playing defensive interior, and primarily at Miami when he played edge, he wasn't getting injured, and he had the best couple years of his career. So regardless of the age, he's still a fucking good prospect. And if people will say, all right, maybe you lose 3 or 4 years of him, but you still get a solid edge rusher who is probably an above average edge rusher immediately going into the NFL, that might be worth the pick for this team, especially with their coach being on the hot seat. Jets take Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of ASU. Makes sense. I think this can definitely make sense. I think Jordan Tyson will provide a decent floor for this team. It makes a lot of sense for this team. Jordan Tyson can provide an instant impact. He can be a wide receiver 1B to Garrett Wilson's 1A. Like, really, it is. And I think Garrett Wilson's a top 10 receiver. Don't let the media trick you into thinking not. I think he is. I think Garrett Wilson is a fucking dog. And if people say that otherwise, come talk to me. But Jordan Tyson can be awesome. I recently rewatched this film earlier this week. It was really solid. It really was. And he makes these acrobatic catches look easy. He makes plays. He makes chunk plays. He has pretty good yard after catch ability. It's not elite, but it's pretty good. He's really good at the catch point. He has really solid hands, really refined hands. He doesn't drop much. He's solid route running. Like there's a good amount of separation too. Like there's a lot to be liking here. Again, it's just the lingering injuries. It's an ACL injury. It's a collarbone injury. It's a hamstring injury. It's a fucking rug burn. The fucking at practice. Like there's a lot of issues there. But if you ignore that, you get a wide receiver 1. So I think the Jets could use, with the amount of draft capital they have to, they could definitely use that. The Lions take Monroe Freeling. I think this 100% makes sense. They need a Glenn Cole left tackle. There's 3 left tackles that will probably go in the first round or have a chance to. Is Caden Proctor, Monroe Freeling, and Caleb Lone. Those are true left tackles who played left tackles in college. Monroe Freeling is one of those left tackles. I have him as my tackle too, because I just like how prototypical his frame is. He's 315, 6'6", or 6'7". Can't remember which. I think it's 6'7". And I think with Taylor Decker gone, you need a left tackle regardless. So I think Penei Sewell can move back to right tackle. He had multiple experiences and multiple tackles in different at college and in the pro level. So there's a lot of issues. I think Penei Sewell won't have a trouble adjusting at all. So if you take Monroe Freeling here and eventually learn behind Penei Sewell and that defense, and it seems like a Dan Campbell style pick where he has big strength and decent footwork. I like it. I like it a lot for them. Vikings take Minnesota. The Minnesota Vikings take Dylan Thiemann, safety out of Oregon. This makes a lot of sense for me too. I think Dylan Thiemann is a fucking ball hog. He gets the ball. He's also a gigantic run stopper. I think his run stopping ability is a little bit better for me, in my personal opinion. I think I like that a little bit more for him. He is a gigantic run stopper. I think he just really makes he really elevates his team. If Harrison Smith eventually is on his way out, he's old. Don't think he can be that Harrison Smith replacement, and he can be that white boy safety they always like to get. So he's definitely he uses his quick blend of like burst. He has great burst, and he's just a real good fit for this team, regardless schematically and also athletically. He tested so well at the combine. He ran really well. His drills looked really solid. I watched all of his drills. It looked awesome. I think Brian Flores will have a real treat with him. The Panthers take Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. I actually like this too. I think Kenyon makes a lot of sense for this team as well. Kenyon can be a kind of a bigger receiver that can also play in the tight end spot if you need him to. He's not the greatest blocker in the world, which isn't a problem because he also tries. I've said this a million times. He tries to block. And that's something you can't teach. You can't teach effort, and he does it. He has poor technique. He doesn't have the greatest technique. I wouldn't say poor, but he has below average/average technique for his blocking position. But you're taking him for his athletics. He ran a 3.39, only 0.01 seconds behind Vernon Davis for the fastest tight end thing ever. He tested freakishly good at the combine. He had a great drills session. Awesome. He really rose to stock. He honestly had a really good session. I really liked watching him. I think taking Kenyon Sadiq here is not a bad idea. It really isn't. I think this tight end room isn't as competitive as people want to see. And I know people have clowned people in the past for taking Kenyon Sadiq. I don't know why we are. He's just a fucking good prospect. Like I don't know. I just think that makes sense. He isn't the best tight end prospect we've seen in the last couple of years. Obviously, Brock Bowers was, in my eyes, was generational. Kenyon Sadiq is damn well a solid prospect. You don't see him. He's not generational, but you see him once every couple 5 or 6 draft classes. Like he's that good. So I think taking Kenyon is not a bad idea. Dallas Cowboys take Keldrick Folk. This honestly has been the first miss in my opinion. I don't think I like Keldrick Folk. I think TJ Parker fits the schematic build a little bit well. The Cowboys might also go for another safety here, maybe take Emmanuel Warren, but I think Keldrick Folk provides a high floor rushing stopping ability, which they did struggle with. They got run over all the time. Honestly, that defense just in general just sucked. So regardless if you get pass help or rush stopping help, it's good. So they took Jamal McCoy and Keldrick Folk, two considered projects, which it's interesting for this team because they do need instant impact at some scenarios, which is why I like Akeem Mesidor. He gets instant production to the quarterback, but it's also a schematic fit to this team because they usually go for these edge rushers who get to the quarterback. Hence Dominic Azaruku. So that's why I think Akeem Mesidor work better, but again, he's not on the board. So if you take Keldrick Folk here, it's not a bad idea, but I think TJ Parker fit the scheme a little bit better because I think he's a little bit better as a pass rusher and has a little bit more room for some of that run stopping growth, which they don't really value as much, especially with two defensive monsters in Quinn Williams and Kenny Clark. So a lot of interesting areas here, but I think Keldrick Folk isn't out of the realm of possibilities. The Pittsburgh Steelers go offensive tackle Caden Proctor. Interesting area. This is if they assume to get rid of Broderick Jones. Interesting area. I would find this very reachful. I don't hate it. I think a corner would work better. I think Ayon Charles would fit the Steelers Nation. A feisty corner next to Jalen Ramsey wouldn't be a bad idea. Or even a guard here. The problem is who you're going to take a guard. Maybe move Caden Proctor to guard. I don't know. He may play swing tackle role. Maybe it just depends where he plays, but I don't hate it. But there's other options I can go with. The Chargers take Cassius Howell. I don't like this. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like this at all. I think Cassius Howell, you've never seen anybody get considered in the first round with his arm length, which is 30 inches and I think a fourth quarter. So you don't really see anybody get considered in that area, regardless of even just getting picked in the first round. So that's a big issue. And this team maybe could use an edge rusher. I mean, with Khalil Mack, yeah, like you don't have the youngest edge group in the world, but there's just so much more needs in the interior offensive line, even corner. I would rather go for wide receiver over edge too, honestly. I think you can wait on a better edge class instead of reaching on someone like Cassius Howell, or even like TJ Parker would have been like fine, I guess. Like I don't hate it, but if you take Cassius Howell here for someone who isn't really refined as a rush stopper or doesn't have the great measurables you're looking for, which teams and organizations really value, it just doesn't really sit well with me. The Eagles go Blake Miller, offensive tackle out of Clemson. This can make sense too. I think Blake Miller is 100% in play. He doesn't have the highest ceiling in the world for me. I think he can definitely play for this team. I think this can't be Lane Johnson's like long-term replacement. I have my concerns of how well he's actually going to get, and that's going to be a interesting area to talk about. How well is he actually going to like just reach his like full ceiling? How good can he be? You already know he's going to get solid for a player. He's really battle tested, but he has had lapses. He really has had lapses where he doesn't do well in some of these games. There's a lot of games where sometimes he just doesn't do good and he gets beat all the time. That's a real issue. And for someone who's been as experienced as he is, there's still some issues. There really still is. I know not all prospects are perfect. Most prospects aren't, but Blake Miller, there's bigger issues than some of these other guys, and I just think I don't like it as much for this team. I'll probably try to pick Caleb Lomu and see if you bank on the upside a little bit more. I mean, I would prefer that or Maxi Iheanacho. I think that works a little bit better. I think I have Blake Miller as a second round tackle. I always have. I literally always have. So I think I'd like Blake Miller a little bit better later on. Now let's take Omar Cooper Jr. That's perfect. They blend the tackle and wide receiver of the future. Omar Cooper Jr. can provide that versatility that they lacked, which was a guy who can play on literally anywhere, slot, Z, or X, and has great contact balance, great hands, just really reliable route running too as well. He's just literally a quarterback's best friend. You can play him wherever he wants. He'll get open. He'll catch the ball if you need him to. It's an awesome team. It's an awesome pick for this team. I think people are kind of underrating him here too. I think he's my wide receiver 4 in this thing. Obviously, it's the big 3 wide receivers, right? And then it's Omar Cooper Jr., then Casey Concepcion, then Denzel Boston. For me personally, I like Omar Cooper Jr. here a lot. I better take Zion Young. Yeah, I can see Zion Young going here. The only reason people had him following one is because of the DUI. So that's a big issue. So I think TJ Parker isn't a bad idea for this team, as he had mentioned. But Zion Young is bad here either. He's a real solid prospect for this team. He produced at Missouri, and this team does need a real presence at edge. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is 100% at play, especially with the safety role with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Jaquan Brisker, and that's whole secondary unit gone. But you also have Kobe Bryant, so maybe you can prolong that for the 2 second-round picks you have in the next round. So there's areas there, but I think Zion Young isn't a bad pick here regardless. The Bills go Casey Concepcion, wide receiver. I have Texas A&M. I don't hate this pick at all either. I think Texas A&M used him in the right way, which was that slot in the punt return role. He's just really awesome. He's just the only problem is his hands. I think this could be an awesome pairing with DJ Moore and even Khalil Shakir. I actually really like this. I don't know if people do still. I think wide receiver is 100% still in play for this team because Casey Concepcion literally can play anywhere. He can play the punt return. He can play at the slot, like he can play in the Z if you really need him to. DJ Moore will probably be playing the X, but I think he can play in the Z. So this team could really use him. And honestly, Josh Allen hasn't had that like guy where he's like, okay, like that shifty guy since Stephon Diggs. And Stephon Diggs wasn't even like that, like shifty. I think Casey Concepcion will be a little bit faster, a little more versatile than Stephon Diggs. Casey Concepcion can really be a new element for Josh Allen. Josh Allen can really utilize him. The 49ers take Clemson edge, TJ Parker. It makes sense for me too. TJ Parker doesn't have the most wow physical skills ever. He isn't the most refined prospect either, but he's not a bad prospect at all. He does all the right things. He's solid in a bunch of things. He's just really solid. And this team with Nick Bosa coming off an ACL tear and Michael Williams, it's not bad, but this team literally lacked no depth. So I think lacked depth. So taking TJ Parker is not bad. I think Robert Saleh really made that 49ers defense play better than it should have. I think taking down the Eagles wasn't bad. I think it's Kevin Patullo's part of Kevin Patullo's fault, but it's not all Kevin Patullo's fault. I think Robert Saleh coached an amazing game in that playoff run. So I like this pick a lot for them. They get more depth and they also get a younger guy in there. Texas take Kaden McDonald. Yeah, especially after signing Wyatt Teller and some other of these offensive lineman guys for C.J. Stroud. I think you definitely prolong to the second or even third round because you'll have 2 second-round picks and you also have a third-round pick from the Giants. So, again, a lot of moving parts. I think Kaden McDonald, you take the defensive tackle. After the defensive tackle of T.J. Parker, Christian Miller, Lee Hunter, Peter Woods, and Caleb Banks, I think the tier falls, and all those guys will probably be going pre-50, maybe Caleb Banks will fall a little bit because of his injury history, but those 4 guys I mentioned, Woods, Hunter, Donald, and Miller, might all go top 50, and if that's the case, the tier drop is bad, and then if you want to take a chance on a Caleb Banks, it's not a bad idea, but again, the injury history is just too much to overlook. So taking K. McDonald here, who's really good rush stopping defense and gets more youth into that team, it's not a bad idea. K. McDonald had a really good year as a nose tackle for Ohio State. who was honestly one of the best rush stopping defenders in this entire rush stopping defenders in the entire nation, was awesome, and he really filled that Tyreek Williams roles, and I think he'll be awesome for this team. The Chiefs take Malachi Lawrence, UCF edge. I think people are really high on Malachi Lawrence. I haven't really got around to his tape. I'm going to start watching that. I think that's one of the top people I have to watch still. I think Malachi Lawrence, for what I've seen and what I've read, he's an awesome guy. He's strong. He's athletic. He's really good. People haven't really had first or second round buzz for him until now, which is really interesting because after the combine where he showed out, which is combine stats are right here, he honestly can fit that Spags role where it's that guy who can get to the quarterback but also has the ability to be a 3-down lineman. I think people should start mocking him into the first round more, as well as Derek Moore. I think people are forgetting Derek Moore. I think people just forgot. There's not really a gigantic issue with Derek Moore. He had an amazing Senior Bowl, amazing combine. I don't know why people are so concerned. I think taking Malachi Lawrence here is not a bad idea. It's a really solid fit for the team. And he's saying whipping out the driver and going for the green. He hit the green. I actually like Malachi Lawrence. I'm going to start watching more of his film. But what I've seen from the combine, it's a real solid pick regardless. Dolphins take Colton Hood, cornerback out of Tennessee. I don't hate this pick at all either. This team has a glaring need for corner. I mean, there's just Jack Jones is your cornerback one. I mean, come on, let's get Colton Hood in there. Subman, I think Jeff Hafley can work his magic and get some good production out of him, because even with Colton Hood as a cornerback one after Jamal McCoy towards ACL, he was producing. And there comes to an area where you're like, okay, Colton Hood is not a bad pick. He didn't perform well at the Senior Bowl, but he did perform well at the combine. He boosted his stock up to this area right here where you see him. It's not a bad pick for this team at all. I think this makes a lot of sense for them. Patriots go Maxi Sinatra, an offensive tackle, so it's not a bad idea. I don't hate this at all, but I don't think this is a bad pick. I think Maxi Sinatra is obviously a little bit more of a prospect. You haven't really seen him play a lot of football, but if you take him and again develop him after, like Eric says, take him and groom him groom him sounds really wrong. Take him in and develop him under Morgan Moses. Groom him sounds really wrong, guys. I'm really sorry. Morgan Moses' replacement isn't a bad idea. I think this team could really use a tackle, and with Morgan Moses on his way out or being older, it's not a bad idea to start developing the offensive tackle. I'm not going to shame a pick for an offensive tackle. I'm not going to shame a team for picking an offensive tackle. Seahawks take Jadarian Price. I don't know where we got this from. I hate when people do this. I really don't like Jadarian Price. Regardless, you can take a running back later in the draft. Mike Washington, Kaytron Allen, some of these other guys, or maybe Kaytron Allen broke his foot, so that's pretty wrong. But regardless, you can get someone else in a better draft pick for better capital. I know the Seahawks don't have a bunch of capital, but even Terrell, just the value is too good for how much secondary you've lost and how much people you've lost just in general. An edge rusher isn't bad either. I don't hate an edge rusher here. Why are we taking Jadarian Price? Deadass, why are we taking Jadarian Price? This makes no sense. I guess, bro. I guess. I don't like it at all. But I guess Jadarian Price is the move. I think Avon Terrell, he literally says, I thought about quarterback Avon Terrell. I was drafting their own way. That makes no sense. Drafting their own way, what does that fucking mean? Avon Terrell makes the most sense. There's just no doubt about it. He'll be feisty next to Reese Witherspoon. Like that pick a lot. He doesn't apparently, so I guess not. Because the Seahawks just decided to draft in their own way. A couple picks I didn't like. But yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think of this mock draft. Let me know what you guys think in general. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Get this out as soon as quickly. Not as soon as possible. ASAP.